fluorescent lights in the courtroom hum softly, illuminating faces creased with fatigue and terror. Cameras are forbidden today. Thank God for it, Christine manages to think, because she can hardly keep her head on straight. Her knuckles are white with tension as she clutches the lip of the table. The same hands that used to prepare family suppers, braided daughter's hair, and constructed a shared household now quiver at the possibility of losing her little girl. Kody slumps across the room, rigid and unforgiving. His loose golden curls are pulled back tight, cut short, his face impassive. The man who once professed love and harmony now glares like a stranger. His attorney leans in close to whisper something in his ear, and Kody nods, though you can almost hear his jaw clenching. The air is thick with unspoken history and feels heavy. The courtroom clerk calls the case. Christine Brown versus Kody Brown. Custody of minor child Truly Brown. The words reverberate like a thunderclap in Christine's chest. She glances toward the door. Truly isn't here, of course, but the thought of her daughter being discussed like a piece of property makes her stomach turn. Christine whispers a prayer under her breath, quiet, trembling, desperate. Judge Harmon clears her throat, shuffling papers. We're here to determine legal custody of Truly Brown, she says evenly. Ms. Brown, your counsel may begin. Christine's attorney, a woman by the name of Paula with serene steel in her gaze, stands up. Your Honor, this isn't merely a custody case. It's one of emotional safety. Paula starts. Our testimony will demonstrate that Kody Brown consistently failed in meeting his parental responsibilities and did not engage in a regular relationship with his daughter after the breakup of the family. Kody's attorney laughs. Christine winces at the tone. She recalls that tone, sarcastic, smug, hearing it every time Kody attempted to flip an argument into a sermon. Paula goes on, her voice growing more tense. We will present documented communication records, witness accounts, and financial reports demonstrating that Mr. Brown gave priority to one home over the others, isolating Christine and Truly emotionally and financially. Kody leans forward in his chair, his face reddening. He says something sharp to his lawyer. Christine can't catch the words, but she recognizes the beat of that rage. It's the same beat that once filled their household with danger and silence. Paula takes a seat, and the judge glances at Kody's lawyer. Mr. Fenton, your reply? Fenton rises slowly, straightening his tie like a man who's done this dance too many times. Your Honor, my client has always been a devoted father. What we're dealing with here is not neglect. It's alienation. Ms. Brown has systematically turned their daughter against him. The words cut the air like glass. Christine takes a sharp breath, a silent gasp escaping her chest. Alienation? After all of it? After the nights she spent awake clutching Truly while he spent time elsewhere smiling for cameras and fans? Fenton continues. We will show that Ms. Brown deliberately cut off all contact, relocated without notice, and publicly humiliated Mr. Brown on social media, harming not just his reputation, but also his relationship with his child. The courtroom murmurs. Robyn, sitting in the second row behind Kody, lowers her head, hiding her face. She's not officially involved in the case, but everyone knows she's the unspoken center of it. Christine doesn't even look at her. She can't. The judge raises a hand to quiet the room. That's enough for now. We'll begin with the first witness after recess. Christine exhales. Her throat feels tight, her pulse wild. As the judge steps out, she closes her eyes. Memories flood in, images of laughter around the kitchen table, of shared holidays and broken promises. She remembers the day she packed her bags. Truly was crying, Kody was yelling, and somewhere deep down, Christine knew this moment, this courtroom, was inevitable. Paula leans over, whispering, You're doing fine, Christine. Just breathe. But Christine's eyes wander over to Kody once more. He's chuckling softly with Robyn now, mumbling as if it's simply another business conference. The picture sets something off inside her chest. Not hatred per se, but sorrow so heavy it aches to get down. Recess draws to a close as the bailiff calls for order. Christine rises with the judge returning. The first witness is called Janelle Brown. There's a wave of shock that sweeps the courtroom. Christine blinks, not sure she heard what she thought she heard. Janelle enters, firm but wan, her hands folded. She promises on the Bible, glancing hurriedly at Kody before focusing on Christine. Paula advances. Mrs. Brown, can you speak about your observation of Kody's interaction with Truly following the breakup? Janelle pauses. It's complicated, she starts, voice trembling a little. He tried at first. He called a few times, came by once or twice. But then he just didn't appear anymore. Weeks passed, then months. Paula nods. Did he ever say why? Janelle looks over at Kody. He's staring at her now, a silent threat in his eyes. She swallows. He told me that Christine made it too difficult, that she poisoned the children against him. But that wasn't true. Christine never said anything like that, at least not in my presence, not ever. A low buzz permeates the air. Kody's attorney adjusts, writing furiously. The judge sits forward, features inscrutable. Paula presses gently. So you're saying Mr. Brown decided not to keep in touch? Janelle pauses again, but then she squares her shoulders. Yes, that's what I'm saying. The resulting silence is thick, almost reverent. Christine's eyes brim, tears threatening but not falling. For a fleeting moment, she is seen, understood. Kody's attorney steps forward for cross-examination. Mrs. Brown, would it be accurate to say your relationship with my client is strained? Janelle's lips compress. We're not close anymore. And would that affect your opinion of him? No, I'm just telling the truth. The lawyer steps closer, voice sharpening. The truth, Mrs. Brown, or your version of it. Christine's fists clench under the table. This is what Kody does. Twist truth into fog until everyone forgets what really happened. The judge finally calls for adjournment. The session is over, but the battle has barely begun. Christine gathers her things, heart pounding, head spinning with questions that have no answers yet. Kody stands walking past her. For a fleeting second, he pauses. His voice drops low just for her. You're not going to win this, Christine. You're destroying the family. She glances up, her eyes fierce. No, Kody. You already did. As the bailiff declares court is in recess, Christine makes her way out into the hall. The air here is colder, edgier. Reporters stand beyond the doors, flashes already firing like firecrackers. But behind the lenses of those cameras, there is something much more sinister than negative publicity. Secrets. Secrets that, once exposed, would destroy the Brown family forever. The following morning, the courthouse is filled with subdued tension. Christine pushes through the metal detectors, her bag pressed tight against her chest. Each step rings out like a heartbeat. She spent the whole night going over yesterday's words, Janelle's nervous testimony, Kody's icy threats, and that icy phrase from his attorney, your version of the truth. The gallery is more crowded today. The atmosphere is thick. Robyn is seated close to the front, blotting her eyes with a tissue, mumbling to Kody. Journalists linger by the door, anticipating a headline. Christine holds her head high. She's tired of hiding, but still a shudder through her hands when Paula leans forward and says in a whispered tone, Today's going to be tough. Kody's lawyers called for an unexpected witness. Christine blinks. A witness? Who? Paula shakes her head. They wouldn't tell me. Only that it's a person who is close to you. Christine's stomach turns. Someone close? That could be anybody. Perhaps one of her older children, or worse, someone from the old family nexus. The judge comes in, and everyone rises. No sooner has the gavel struck the block than Kody's lawyer stands. Your Honor, the defense calls Mary Brown to the stand. The whole room gasps. Even Kody looks at his lawyer, shocked. Mary enters, her face white but determined. Her movements are slow, methodical, as if she's moving through memory itself. Christine's heart falls. Mary, the woman who once clutched her hand through brokenness, now stands against her. Paula's grip on Christine's arm becomes tighter. Stay calm, she breathes. No matter what, don't react. Mary swears, her gaze flashing momentarily toward Christine. There is guilt there. Christine can see the guilt, but something else too. Fear. Kody stiffens, eyes alert. His fingers tap out a slow rhythm on the table like a man who already knows where this is heading. The lawyer starts. Mrs. Brown, you've known both of these people for years. Would you say Ms. Christine Brown has always fostered a positive relationship between Mr. Brown and his children? Mary swallows. She used to, she says in a low voice, but after she went, things changed. She stopped talking to him. She told the children things about Kody that weren't fair. Christine's chest feels tight. That's not true, she grouses under her breath. Paula whispers, don't let her speak. Mary speaks on, her voice shaking. I think she was hurt. We all were. But she began shutting him out. Truly stopped responding to his calls. I saw the messages. Christine's head reels. She recalls those messages, dozens and dozens of them, each one a message from Truly stating that she didn't want to speak now. She never interrupted Kody. She simply honored their daughter's boundaries. The attorney nods in approval. So, you feel Miss Brown played a part in alienating the child from the father? Mary pauses. Her mouth opens as if to add more, but then she weakly nods. Yes, I think so. The sound of that yes feels like a door slamming shut. Christine's eyes fill with tears, but she blinks them back. She will not cry. Not here. When it's Paula's turn, she walks calmly to the podium. Mrs. Brown, she begins softly. How long has it been since you've spoken to Christine one-on-one? Mary looks uncertain. A few months, maybe. Would you characterize your relationship with her as tense since she left the family? Yes. So when you state she alienated Kody, you didn't see that personally, did you? You're just saying what was told to you. Mary wriggles uncomfortably in her seat. I viewed messages. Messages presented to you by Mr. Brown? Yes. The hesitation speaks volumes. Yes. Paula slowly inclines her head, nearly benevolently. Sometimes what we see is half the story, Mrs. Brown, and sometimes half the story is more harmful than a lie. A murmur of dismay runs through the room. Mary glances away, shame flickering in her eyes. Kody shoots daggers at Paula, but the harm is done. During court recess for lunch, Christine exits into the hallway. Cameras click immediately. Reporters call out questions. Christine, how do you feel about Mary's testimony? But she continues on. She leads herself to a quiet alcove by the vending machines, finally relaxing her shoulders. Janelle comes up beside her, both hands cradling paper cups of coffee. You okay? She whispers. Christine takes a shaky breath. I don't know. It's like my whole life is coming back to haunt me. Janelle nods. Cody's intimidated. When Cody's intimidated, he manipulates. That's what this is. Christine turns to the woman who has been her friend since childhood. Do you think I'm making the right decision? Absolutely, Janelle insists. You're doing this for Truly. No one else will. A gentle chime rings down the hall. Court is in session. As they emerge, the judge declares, before we continue, the court has received new evidence brought overnight by the defense. Christine's heart beats faster. What evidence? Cody's attorney rises. Text messages, Your Honor, between Miss Brown and her daughter. We hold that they show intentional interference with the father-child relationship. Paula shoots up at once. We haven't authenticated, but it's too late. The lawyer is already handing over printed screenshots, neatly stapled and highlighted. The judge scans the pages. We'll admit them temporarily for a review. Proceed carefully. Christine's heart sinks as the messages are displayed on the overhead screen. Sentences she barely remembers, taken out of context. Lines like, you don't have to talk to him if you're not ready. It's okay to set boundaries. Cody's lawyer turns toward the court. Ladies and gentlemen, this doesn't sound like encouragement. It sounds like instruction. It's clear Ms. Brown manipulated the child's emotions. Christine can't breathe. Paula whispers, stay calm, we'll fix this. But inside, Christine feels something break. A deep, invisible crack that runs through years of endurance. She gazes at Kody, hoping for victory on his face, but what she finds sends a jolt through her. His hands are shaking, his eyes flick hesitantly to the rear of the room, to someone seated in the very back. Christine sees where he is looking and hesitates. It's Mykelti, her daughter with Kody, observing all that is happening. Her face is unemotional, but her presence alone changes the atmosphere. The judge requests a brief recess and Kody shoots right up from his seat, marching over to his attorney. His words are soft but raging. You said she wouldn't appear today. Christine can't catch the rest, but the rage in his voice speaks volumes. During the recess, Paula walks over to Mykelti unnoticed. We had no idea you'd be present. Are you going to testify? Mykelti nods. If the court will allow it. I can no longer remain silent. Christine's breath hitches. Sweetheart, you don't have to. I do, Mykelti asserts. Dad's not being truthful, Mom. I witnessed what actually took place. Tears burn Christine's eyes, but she tames her smile into a wobbly smile. Perhaps the tide is shifting. When court reconvenes, Paula asks to present a rebuttal witness, Mykelti Brown. The judge, after some deliberation, grants it. Mykelti steps forward. Her voice remains calm, but her hands shake a little while grasping the microphone. I love both my parents, she starts, but I must be honest. Mom never instructed me, or truly not to speak with Dad. She merely said we could decide when we were prepared, and when truly cried following each phone call. Mykelti's voice tames, and she continues. Mom didn't restrain her. She reassured her. That's all. Paula nods gently. Did your father ever reach out in other ways? Mykelti's eyes glisten. He tried, but mostly when the cameras were rolling. When the cameras stopped, so did he. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Robyn lowers her head. Kody's face reddens, his fists clenched. The judge taps her pen. We'll take a short recess before closing arguments tomorrow. Christine's knees go weak, but for the first time, and it's not fear, it's hope. She looks at Kody, whose confidence has been slightly shaken. Mykelti approaches her mother, tears welling up in her eyes. They hug in silence. The morning air outside the courthouse tastes different, thicker, electric. The media throng has doubled, cameras strobing in rhythmic bursts as Christine emerges from her car. She shields her eyes, managing a small, dignified smile, but inside she's pounding in fear. Today, the trial advances to closing arguments, and she knows Kody won't go quietly. Paula walks alongside her, carrying her legal pad as serene as ever. He's cornered, she whispers. When guys like Kody get cornered, they lash out. Prepare yourself. Christine nods. She's been waiting years, but there's something new about Kody's presence today. When she arrives at the courtroom, he already has, pacing. His tie is loose, his customary arrogance lost and replaced by something more raw, defiance tinged with desperation. Robyn sits a few feet off, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. The bailiff calls for order, and as the judge enters, the whispers fade. Christine takes her seat. She can feel the weight of every gaze, press, family, strangers, all watching this one family crumble under fluorescent light. Judge Harmon wastes no time. We'll resume with any remaining witnesses or evidence before proceeding to closing statements. Kody's attorney stands, his voice clipped. Your Honor, prior to resting our case, my client would like to address the court. Christine's gut plummets. Kody's gonna get his say. Paula leans in. We can't stop him, but this might blow up in our faces. Kody approaches, hands on the podium. His jaw clenches, but his eyes, those recognizable blue eyes, hollow with turmoil. He begins quietly, nearly practiced. I didn't want this. I wanted my family together. Christine made her choice, and I accepted it, but she's punishing me for it. He stops, his eyes raking the room. You've all heard that I abandoned my daughter, that I didn't care, that I'm some selfish man. But nobody knows what it's like to have your whole life on display for the world, to see every failure, every feeling. People forget that I am human. Christine has a twinge of something she doesn't expect, sympathy. For a brief moment, he sounds vulnerable, then his voice toughens. She stole truly away from me. She left the state, wouldn't return my calls, and poisoned my children against me. That's not love. That's revenge. Gasps spread through the gallery. Christine clutches her chair, freezing. Paula rises. Your Honor, objection to inflammatory language. This isn't testimony. It's an accusation. The judge nods, but Kody doesn't stop. You think you know Christine? You don't. She smiles for the cameras, plays the victim, but behind closed doors. He falls silent, his voice breaking. She made me feel worthless. Christine can't handle it anymore. She stands, voice shaking but firm. Your Honor, may I respond? The judge nods, briefly. Christine spins to confront Kody completely. You felt worthless because I ceased to let you dominate me. That's not cruelty. That's survival. Her voice clears. You demanded loyalty, Kody, not love. And you cannot put loyalty in the dock. The courtroom erupts into a shocked silence. Even the judge appears momentarily flummoxed. Kody scowls at her, but something in his face cracks. For the first time, he appears uncertain. Judge Harmon clears her throat. That's enough for now. Ms. Brown, please return to your seat. Christine takes her seat, shuddering. She knows she shouldn't have spoken up, but God, it felt so good to finally say it. Kody's attorney murmurs frantically to his client, but Kody ignores him. He gazes at Christine, burning eyes, not with hatred precisely, but with wounded pride. The judge announces a recess, and Christine steps into the hallway. Reporters surge forward, but before they can reach her, someone grabs her arm. She spins. Robyn stands there, her eyes wet, her hands trembling. Christine, please, she whispers. Can we talk? Christine hesitates, instinct screaming no. But something about Robyn's expression, broken, guilty, stops her. She nods reluctantly, and they step into an empty conference room. Robyn shuts the door, her voice shaking. He's lying to you. To everyone. To you about Truly, about the money, about everything. Christine gasps. What are you talking about? Robyn's hands tremble as she rummages through her purse, removing a thin envelope. I discovered this months ago. I didn't intend to, but it was in the wrong folder. It's about the family trust fund, the one Janelle spoke of. Kody's been transferring money into another account in someone else's name. Christine fixates on the envelope, her heart racing. You're telling me he's stashing money? Robyn nods, crying now. He told me it was to keep the family safe, but it's in his name. Not the family's. Christine's brain spins. All this ties together. The tension, Kody's violence, the sudden urgency about custody. This was never about Truly. It was about control and finances. Robyn moves in. I'm giving you this because I can't keep lying anymore. I thought I was keeping him safe, but all I did was enable him to destroy us. Christine unseals the envelope cautiously, her hands shaking. Why are you doing this for me now? Robyn swallows. Because I witnessed Truly cry last week when you departed court. No child should be raised with the impression that love appears like this. For the first time in years, Christine glimpses the woman Robyn once was. The optimistic, compassionate sister-wife she once trusted. Christine opens the envelope a little. There are a number of documents. Banking statements, transfer receipts, even an email exchange between Kody and an accountant. Her heart beats more fiercely with every page. The figure tallies up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. She glances up at Robyn, whispering, if this is genuine, he's not just deceiving the court, he's defrauding people. Robyn nods. I know, I just pray it's not too late. Christine nods her gratitude, tears in her eyes. Robyn disappears, her form small and shaking as she moves off down the corridor. Paula returns just then, spotting the envelope. What's that? Christine hesitates, then explains everything. Paula's expression hardens. If this is true, it changes the entire case. But we'll need to verify it fast. Within the hour, Paula presents the new evidence request to the judge. The courtroom erupts. Kody's lawyer protests furiously, but Judge Harmon allows a recess to review the documents privately. Kody's face goes pale as the bailiff brings the files forward. He spins to Robyn, understanding what she has done. His tone is low, dripping with venom. You betrayed me. Robyn doesn't reply. Her eyes shine, but she doesn't glance away. Christine sits in silent witness as Kody's mask breaks. Anger, panic, shock all churning behind his eyes. Court resumes with the judge sounding serious. Mr. Brown, these reports indicate financial irregularities connected to the family trust. If substantiated, this will be forwarded to state authorities. Kody's attorney begins to protest, but the judge quiets him with a glare. For the moment, we will suspend custody consideration pending investigation. Nevertheless, the court observes that Ms. Brown's behavior is consistent with the well-being of the child's emotional state. Christine's breath hitches. She does not dare smile. Not yet. But she can sense the transition. The room, the tension, the power. It's all different now. Kody sinks back into his chair, vanquished for the first time. The flame in his eyes fades, replaced by emptiness. When the gavel comes down, Christine breathes a shaky sigh. The courtroom hums around her, reporters murmuring, Robyn softly crying, but she hears nothing. All she can sense is a soft thud of her heart. Paula leans over. We're not there yet, but we're close. He's coming apart at the seams. Tomorrow we wrap up. Christine nods to herself, speaking softly to herself rather than to anyone. Tomorrow we end this. As she leaves the courtroom, Kody's voice rings out behind her. You think you've won, Christine? You don't even know what's coming. She stops, glancing back. Then I'll be ready. The courtroom was like a volcano about to blow. The air was charged with tension, like each sentence might trigger the next eruption. Kody leaned forward, hands bunched into fists so tightly they were white-knuckled. In the aisle across from him, Christine cast her eyes downward, murmuring something to her attorney, while Robyn fidgeted with a ring on her finger. Judge Matthews appeared exhausted, as if a man who had witnessed too many families disintegrating before him. Proceed with the cross-examination, he instructed. Christine's attorney, a clever woman by the name of Sandra Quinn, stood up and addressed Kody. Mr. Brown, she started, her voice firm. "You have sworn you were a devoted father, is that right?" Kody nodded, his voice brisk. "Of course I was." "My children are everything to me." "Everything," Sandra pushed. "Even the ones who don't live with Robyn?" The courtroom fell silent. Robyn squirmed in her seat. Mary gazed down at the ground, refusing to meet anyone's eye. Kody paused and, "That's not fair. My relationships with the kids have been complicated, but I've always tried." Sandra moved closer. "You attempted it? Is that what Truly said to the court psychologist? That her dad attempted to call but didn't make it to her graduation? Or that he attempted to visit but canceled at the last minute?" Kody's lips parted, but no speech emerged. The quiet stung worse than any tirade could. Christine glanced up for the first time, tears glistening but jaw set. She was not going to cry this time. She had cried enough. Sandra went on, her voice sharp but steady. "Mr. Brown, did your new marriage impact your engagement with your other wives and children?" Kody snapped, "That's not the point. Robyn was not involved in any of this." "Then why," Sandra flashed back, "did you transfer half the family's jointly owned property into her name 2 days before seeking legal custody of Truly?" A murmur of shock spread through the courtroom. Even the bailiff stared in dismay. Robyn paled. "That's not true," Robyn exclaimed, standing. "That was an economic choice. Our attorney recommended it." Judge Matthews struck his gavel. "Mrs. Brown, your turn. Please sit down." Kody glared at Christine, his face crimson. "You're trying to ruin me." Christine's voice broke, but held a core of strength. "No, Kody. You ruined yourself when you ceased being a father." The courtroom fell silent again. Only the hum of the ceiling fan in the distance could be heard. Sandra looked over at the judge. No further questions at this time. Kody slumped back, but the battle wasn't over. His lawyer, Mark Daniels, stood. "Your Honor, the defense would like to call our next witness." When he turned toward the back of the courtroom, every camera in the gallery swung in the same direction. The door opened, and in walked Janelle. Christine's face changed instantly. Shock, disbelief, and hurt. "Janelle?" she whispered. Janelle avoided her gaze. "I'm sorry, Christine." Kody's attorney smiled slightly. "Mrs. Brown, can you explain the court about your relationship with both of them?" Janelle breathed deeply. "I've known both of them for decades. I was married to Kody nearly 30 years. I love them both like family." "Would you say Christine has ever falsely accused Kody?" The room was silent. Janelle gazed again at Christine, her eyes tearful, her lips quivering. "No," she whispered. "Christine isn't lying." Kody's attorney stood rigid. Kody stared back at him in shock. What is she doing?" he whispered. Janelle went on, her voice more assertive now. "I remained silent for years because I didn't want to take sides. But the reality is, Kody changed. He became a person we no longer knew. And Robyn, she became more than a wife. She became the wall between us all." Robyn's eyes welled up with tears. "That's not fair," she shouted. "You all deserted him." "No," Janelle replied softly. "He left us first." Judge Matthews sat up straight. "Thank you, Mrs. Brown. You may be seated." As Janelle walked down from the witness stand, Christine reached out, her hand touching Janelle's arm. A quiet thank you. But before anyone could breathe, the judge's aide came into the courtroom with a sealed envelope. "Your Honor," she announced, "this just came in from the State Forensic Lab. It's the handwriting analysis report from Exhibit C." Judge Matthews opened it, glancing quickly, his eyebrows raised slightly. "Well, this alters things," he said. "It seems the signature on the custody transfer document was a forgery." The room erupted in whispers. Kody's attorney jumped up. "Your Honor, that's not possible." "My client signed those documents himself." The judge's eyes were piercing. "Then why does the report state the handwriting doesn't match Mr. Brown's?" Kody went white. Robyn was paralyzed. Christine's hand shot up to her mouth in shock. Who the hell signed it then? The judge sat back. "We will adjourn for today. Court will reconvene tomorrow at 9. The gavel came crashing down. As the cameras shut down and the crowd started to whisper, Christine stood frozen, looking at Kody. For the first time, she didn't look at her ex-husband. She looked at a man knotted in secrets she'd never even dreamed of. Kody remained motionless. He only whispered to himself in a voice so low no one could hear, "If I didn't sign it, who did?" Light crept through the high windows of the courtroom, casting long shadows on the floor. The day had finally come, and the air in the room was charged. Reporters occupied the benches, scribbling away with pens against notepads. Cameras clicked quietly. Each face looked tight, each breath suspended. This was it, the moment everyone waited for. Christine sat at the plaintiff's table, her fingers tracing the borders of her notes, although she really didn't need them anymore. Her testimony had been given. Now it was the truth's turn to speak for itself. Across the room, Kody appeared agitated. His hair was messy, his eyes bloodshot from insufficient sleep. Robyn sat next to him, clutching his arm tightly, as if she could prevent him from breaking down. The judge entered. All rise. The courtroom erupted into standing, the scraping of chairs filling the big room. When Judge Matthews sat, the tension relaxed a little. Be seated. He perched his glasses on the end of his nose. We are here today to render a decision in the case of Brown versus Brown, custody of Truly Brown, and charges of financial improprieties. A murmur ran through the court. Christine closed her eyes for a moment. She wasn't fighting merely for her daughter. She was fighting for closure, for peace after years of silent endurance. Judge Matthews went on. Before I hand down the verdict, I'd like to take up a new submission brought before me this morning. He raised a folder. This includes a sworn affidavit and further forensic evidence of the forged signature on the custody documents. All their heads swiveled toward Kody. His attorney appeared stunned. Your Honor, we were not notified new evidence was being placed on the record. The judge nodded. The evidence arrived from the forensic lab late last night. It seems the signature was not just forged, but copied from another piece of paper belonging to a Brown family member. Robyn's eyes widened. That's not possible. The tone of the judge was harsh. The report cites the origin of the handwriting match, Mrs. Robyn Brown. The courtroom was in an uproar. Gasps, murmurs, and even a few shouts filled the room. Kody confronted Robyn, shock and anger crossing his features. Robyn, what have you done? Tears ran down her face. I was trying to help. You said you couldn't get the papers prepared in time, and I didn't want Christine to remove Truly before you could fight back. Christine's mouth hung open. Her lawyer rose to his feet. Your Honor, this is forgery of a legal document related to a child's custody. That's not helping. It's a felony. Robyn cried, shaking her head. I didn't intend for it to come this far. Kody pounded his hands on the table. You've destroyed everything. The judge thumped his gavel back and forth. Order! I will have order in this court. When order was restored, Judge Matthews sighed. This court takes forgery very seriously, but before we decide on sentencing, we have to complete the issue of custody. He looked at Christine. Mrs. Brown, your devotion to your daughter is evident. You've demonstrated emotional stability, honesty, and a clear ability to provide for Truly's well-being. Christine nodded, tears brimming. Then the judge turned toward Kody. Mr. Brown, while your past as a father cannot be erased, your recent conduct raises concerns, particularly your willingness to let others manage critical documents without supervision. Kody slumped his shoulders. Your Honor, I never intended for this to occur. I simply wanted an opportunity to correct things. Judge Matthews sat back. And now you have that opportunity, but not as you anticipated. He surveyed the courtroom. Custody of Truly Brown will stay with her mother, Christine Brown. Mr. Brown will have supervised visitation privileges for 6 months, after which the court will review on a progress basis. A quiet sob left Christine's lips, a blend of relief and sorrow. She glanced at her attorney, mouthing, It's over. But the judge wasn't finished. And as for Mrs. Robyn Brown, owing to the confessed act of forgery, this court is commanding an instant criminal inquiry. Mrs. Brown, you are remanded into custody to await further investigation. Robyn gasped, No, please. I didn't say it that way. She glanced frantically at Kody, who would not look at her. 2 officers stepped forward, taking her gently by the arms. As they escorted her out, Robyn's shouts rang through the hushed courtroom. Kody put his face in his hands. The man who had boasted of his ideal family now sat surrounded by shattered fragments. Judge Matthews stood up. Court is adjourned. The gavel fell for the final time. No one moved for a long, agonizing moment. Then Christine rose, her steps firm. Passing by Kody, she stopped just long enough to say, almost inaudibly, I hope one day you remember the man you used to be. Cody's head had come up, his voice barely above a whisper. Christine, was any of it real? She stood silently for a moment, Yes, that's what makes it hurt the most. Outside, a mob of reporters surged, cameras clicking, microphones jabbed out. Christine covered her eyes from the lights, struggling to catch her breath. Her lawyer led her through the fray. Cody trailed a few feet behind. By himself now, his universe falling apart in the harsh light of public attention. Reporters yelled his name, asking if he knew about the forgery, if the sister-wives family was done for real. He didn't respond. Kristen paused on the courthouse steps, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The sun was a pinkish gold, the color of sunrises that whispered of new beginnings. She breathed deeply and told herself softly, "Truly and I are finally free." Her phone beeped. Janelle had texted, "Proud of you." "You did the right thing." Christine smiled softly and replied, "Thank you," for standing up when it mattered. Then she walked down the steps, each stride stronger than the last. Inside the courthouse, Cody remained seated on the bench, staring at the empty room. His lawyer packed up the files quietly, but Cody didn't move. "All those years," he murmured, "and this is how it ends." The bailiff approached. "Sir, you'll need to leave now." Cody nodded slowly, standing, but before he left, he turned one last time toward the bench where Christine had sat and whispered, "Maybe it's time I finally face who I've become." As the doors closed behind him, the sound echoed through the empty hallways. A final reminder that even in families built on faith and love, secrets always find their way to the surface. And for the Browns, this ruling was not simply a conclusion. It was the beginning of a reckoning that would reverberate long after the judge's chambers.